If you watched my last video, you probably saw the thing about foreshadowing. This engine blew up. I don't know what exactly went wrong with it. I don't see any holes in the block. I don't see any oil puking out on the ground. It's got oil in it. It just seems like it might have thrown a rod, like the bottom half, or maybe dropped a valve, something, but the thing doesn't make a full rotation anymore. It turns over. Well, now it's making a full rotation. I don't know why that is. But, well, there ain't any compression, I can tell you that much. It wasn't making a full rotation before. I'm going to have to show a video that I took on my phone. It was clunking somewhere anyways, and I tried disengaging the PTO, even disengaging the hydrostatic transmission belts. It was the same shit. It wouldn't make a full rotation. I am not going to rebuild this. I will eventually disassemble it just out of curiosity to see what went wrong with it. I'm probably just going to see if anyone is interested in this as a collector's piece to hang on their wall. I did trade a older Clinton engine that was running that I bought a carburetor for a 10 horse horizontal a few months ago, but he's not even going to use it. He's just going to hang it on his shelf. He didn't care whether I put a carburetor on it or not, so I'll probably do something similar to this. So anyways, this motor's junk. I checked all over Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and everything. I even made a in search of post, which I absolutely hate doing. Couldn't find anything, so we resorted to this. And before any of you start bashing these Harbor Freight engines, they are good. I've used them in the past on log splitters, and it's just a matter of taking care of them. Most Harbor Freight tools, it's just kind of common sense whether they're good or not. If it has bad reviews, don't buy it. Simple as that. I don't know why people buy things that have 1 star and expect them to perform like an $8,000 Snap-on tool. This one has electric and pull start, which was a big selling point for me, only because I've had times such as that one where I had the starter generator rebuilt and I paid the guy like almost $100 to do it. It worked 2 times before it gave out, and there was no sort of warranty with it. So that was $100 pissed down the drain. So I had to take the starter generator off and just start it, basically pull start with a piece of rope. And this one I don't have to worry about that. If the battery goes dead, then all I have to do is pull start it. Simple as that. So, works phenomenal. I'm absolutely in love with this machine. Absolutely in love with it. I need to figure out something with the hood. Right now I've just been kind of using the seat cover, or cushion I should say, to cover the engine when I'm done using it. And as you can see, the hood doesn't fit on there at all. I think height-wise I can make it work, but there's a big asterisk there. I'm going to have to cut basically from here and like notch out for the exhaust and cut into here and all this and probably down to there. I have no fucking problem doing that at all. I know some guys are going to be upset about that, going, oh, it's such a rare lawnmower, why wouldn't you try to make your own and whatever? Because, for one, it's my mower. For two, I don't give a shit that it was collectible. It's not why I went out and bought it. I bought it because it looked like it was a good machine, which it is. And for three, I'm never putting the original engine back in there. So why would it matter whether the hood's in good shape? All it's going to do is protect the electronics. That's what it's there for. I do love the front of it, though. That's where I'm going to not really try to destroy the front. I'm probably going to cut these old headlights out and put a light bar in there and then fill in the void with just some sheet metal. Maybe. I do like the Husky emblem, but at the same time, I don't know yet. I don't know. Anyways, yesterday, I finished building this little roof basket, or not roof basket, it's a receiver basket that I bought for a Subaru for when we were going camping, and never used it because I just never needed it. I always had the space in the Subaru. So that supports my weight just fine. I'm 200 and I think it's 15 pounds right now. I can jump up and down in it no problem. It pops a wheelie, but it doesn't bend anything. The reason being, I have one single bolt holding it in the back, right under there, right basically halfway up where the tube is sitting on that metal plate. I have, what do you call it? I have a bolt going through, and then I welded on both sides. I really welded the shit out of that thing. And then basically where these 2 points are down here, I took these red pieces of metal that the guy, I don't know if they're drawbars or what, they're something for a tractor anyways, and put these hitch pins in here. And I made sure that I pushed down as far as possible, so they're basically sitting on the hitch pins. So essentially this is removable. It looks like it's permanently attached, but if I take that plate off where this thing is attached and welded to, and take these hitch pins out, this whole assembly comes out no problem. I got enough clearance between the tires there because there is no suspension travel in this. It's a solid axle. There's no pivoting, nothing. Worst case, all I would have to do is probably get a smaller set of tires, which I probably will the next time, because they have a lot of meat left on them, but they're very cracked and rotted, so they probably have 2 years left in them. I also welded these things to a bolt, and it's nice and tight up there. I did a lot better job welding this than I did the plow mount, because the gas wasn't getting blown away from even the slightest little breeze. And I just put some plywood under here. That way I can kind of use this as not only something to hold the weights in the battery, but also tools or even if I need to haul something from the back up to the front. I was actually going to use this basket as basically my engine carrier for like my kind of makeshift forklift, I guess, to carry engines around. And my plan, this piece right here actually slides in and out, and it's just held in with 2 screws on each side. I was going to completely remove that and make some brackets so it would sit on the front, and it would raise and lower with the hydraulic cylinder there, just the same as this one. And then, yeah, basically put an engine in there, raise it up, drive it to the back, drop it off where I want it. That was the plan. But that'd be such a waste for this basket. Now that I can actually use it, I'm really happy that I decided to do this I'm really happy that I decided to go this route versus using it as like a skid steer bucket with forks, basically. And I did, like I said, I did a very good job wiring these. I actually soldered everything and made it permanent. So right here is where the factory harness, where I cut everything and put all the splices there and wrapped it in tape so it doesn't get cut, and zip tied it up and around here, just back to where the box used to sit, basically right here. And I did test it and everything works, like the low oil shut off. And so the only thing I have left to do electrical wise on this is obviously the electric start. I have to hook up the battery. Hood wise, I don't know if I'm going to clear that gas tank. I really don't know. Now you could argue the point, well, if I got an aftermarket exhaust and an aftermarket air filter, I wouldn't have to be cutting anything and I could just use the hood. And that's true. But I don't want to spend any more money on this engine than I already have, because the cocksucker who's supposed to send me $100 for this because the old engine blew up, apparently his word doesn't mean anything. It's been 3 weeks and I've been messaging him and calling him and he hasn't been replying, and he's just been opening my messages on Facebook. I can guarantee you I'm not getting a check from him, and I bad-mouthed him pretty bad around the area, so I don't think people are going to buy anything from him again. Because he was swearing by this engine, and I'm not upset at the fact that it blew up. I'm upset at the fact that he promised me he would send me a check for $400 if I didn't want the mower, or I could just bring it back and he'd buy it. And I worked out a deal with him. I wanted him to get some money for it because it was just sitting collecting dirt and it was in pretty rough shape when I got it. I told him, yeah, is it okay if you just send me $100 and that way you still make $300 and I'll kind of cover a little bit of the cost for this engine? And he said, absolutely, that's 100% okay with me. And again, that was 3 weeks ago. It's not happening. That guy's getting really antsy. They don't have his Subaru done yet, but it's not my fault. 4 fucking pairs of heads in a row were cracked. Gotta put my fancy dancy anti-neck breaker in here. Okay, so I think I can get by. I'm just gonna make very, very, very basic forks here, and it's just basically going to be moving for Subaru engines. I'll probably have to customize it, make a different one in the future, but for now I've got 4 Subaru engines I need to move, and I don't plan on moving anything else for a while because I really only work on Subaru engines, so kind of works out. Anyways, this section right here is 3 feet, so I'm going to cut it straight down the center at 18 inches. Alright, so it is about 1.5 inches outside diameter, 1/8 of an inch, something like that. Maybe 3/16 of an inch sidewall. I think it's 1/8 of an inch sidewall. So pretty fucking heavy duty for what I'm going to be using for. Like I said, Subaru engines with the heads and everything fully assembled, like this one sitting right over here, 2 people can lift that. Like, it's going to be a bear, but 2 people can lift that. Essentially what I'm going to do is, like I said, 18-inch forks, and then there's going to be a 2-foot space between them just in case I need to haul anything bigger. 2-foot space is basically just past, it's like right about here to the edge of where this plastic is and probably right about to where this hose is. So that way I can lift up on the bottom of the heads, or however I want to lift it, basically. I'd rather have it be too long, cut it shorter, than too short and have to cut it and weld it and do all that shit. The part it's going to be pulling on, it's not actually going to be pulling on where it mounts to. I kind of misdrew that. It's going to be pivoting right here, and the bracket's going to go up to here, so when it lifts and kind of tilts it back like that. And it's not just going to tilt, it's going to lift and tilt. So that way it'll clear the ground and tilt it back so it's not going to fall off. And this little hydraulic cylinder, I didn't see a lift capacity on it. I don't know what this thing does, but that's what wore away the sticker, so whatever it was for, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know what the lift capacity is on it, but like I said, this actual plow here, or this blower, probably weighs between 100 and 150 pounds, and then I was sitting on it, so you figure 300 pounds. My bracket isn't going to weigh more than 50, 60 pounds, and the engines only weigh 200 to 300, and it lifted me just fine, and that was basically at idle. It wasn't revving at full throttle, so I have no doubt in my mind that the cylinder is going to be able to lift the engine. They're the engines I'm going to lift, and like I said, then I can just pick them up, move them to where I want them, drop them so they're out of the way, and I can actually get vehicles in the garage instead of having them hang out halfway like this and pulling engines basically in the snow. Alright, I got the forks welded onto the bar here. I had to use the bigger bar because the scrap trailer piece was a little bit too narrow. Got it welded pretty much as good as I can with this welder, where it is fusing both metals, and you know, again, I mean, this is, if I was to scale this on a 1 to 10, I'd say that's like a 7.5 or an 8. I inspected this while I was trying to get measurements for these brackets here. I noticed there's a bolt running through right there, and the same on the other side underneath that plate. And I kind of thought about it and thought, boy, seems a hell of a lot easier to just take 2 bolts out, drill 2 holes in the other steel, and just go that route. So that's what I'm going to do. Obviously the thickness isn't correct, so I'm going to have to use 2 different size bolts, but that's alright. Yeah, no, I mean, if I don't have to make the bracket, I'm not gonna. I will just disconnect the snowblower, and the PTO will just slide out from right here, and then when I'm not using it, it'll just be there, and when I need to use it, all I gotta do is take the forks off, put the 2 bolts back in and hook the PTO back up. So I'm going to take this off here now and drill those bolts and give her a shot and see if she works. Alright, so I looked and looked and looked and looked for bolts that were long enough that were going to go through, that were going to be similar to the diameter that was in there holding up the snowblower, because I obviously wasn't going to use just like an M10 bolt or something. And I couldn't really find anything. I found stuff that was long enough, but I couldn't find the nuts for them. So all I did was just welded these nuts right to the actual frame for the forks. And this little ear over here, I'm going to put another one over here. The only reason that this one's here is because it was already there. But I think it's a really good idea just to have something to hook into so I can wrap a chain around whatever it is that I'm hauling or whatever moving. And then I can hook the chain over here, you know, in the same spot, loop it around. That way it'll actually kind of hold it there, and I'm not just relying on gravity. Like if I'm moving an engine, I'm going to chain it in. And then there's obviously not threads all the way down, so I just grabbed these little nut spacers that I'm going to put on. And then all this does is these 2 things go into those 2 holes on the bracket there, and then she'll be good. Alright, that should be good there. I'm going to start her up and test her out and move this snowblower into the back just so it's out of the way. The only thing I did not mess with at all was this bracket here. And right now it's completely lowered and it's on the ground. So when I suck it back in, it should actually be perfect. I don't know how I managed it, but I lost my earmuffs. I've been looking for the past 30 minutes. I can't find them anywhere. The safety glasses are here. The grinder is there. My gloves are here. Therefore, earmuffs should be in this general vicinity. But it's not. And I looked on the floor. I looked underneath. I looked over here. I looked in my tool cart. I looked in my toolbox. I looked by the lawnmower. I looked over everywhere. I can't fucking find them. But anyways, the mail lady asked me if I could snow blow out by the mailboxes, and I did already try, and it's packed down ice, but I'm just gonna have to take this shovel out there and smash it up as best I can and try to blow it for her, because she's not really able to deliver the mail. Oh my god, what the hell are they doing over here? Okay, I'm gonna just move the snowblower attachment to the back, or just move it out of the way for right now. I have to move this vehicle out because I dug myself a fucking hole right there, and this thing is gonna get stuck again, and it's impossible to get unstuck unless I have a 4-wheel drive or something to get me out. So anyways, I'm gonna move the blower attachment, gonna try to move this Subaru, and I'll try to get that engine loaded up onto it. This engine's completely toast too, so I can get this one out of here. That H6 I'm probably going to list for sale. I can get all those Subaru parts in that box. Actually, that'd be perfect. I can fit that box right on the forks back there, as well as all those radiators, and kind of clean this shit up, so... I think I'm going to call it here. Definitely get a video of me cleaning out near the mailboxes out there. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to that today. It's 3:30 now, and I have to run to Bemidji, and by the time I get back, it'll be almost 5. It'll be getting dark, and I'm not going to be working in the road in dark with something with absolutely no lights. I wouldn't be working in the road, period, whether it had lights or not. So it'll probably be a tomorrow project. Get some footage of that and get the snowblower hooked back up. It's not hard to get this disconnected. I take, literally all I need is 2 3/4 wrenches. Or, sorry, I need that guy and then a 3/4 wrench. And then I can take this one off, put the other one on, done. Super simple. Next video should be on hooking up the battery. Well, at least on this anyways, it should be hooking up the battery and getting a hood on and kind of making the final modifications of this where I can just use it. No more modifying, no more messing with shit, just ready, set, go.